Welcome to Sinister Secrets, where the line between reality and nightmares blurs. Here, we delve into the spine-chilling, the mysterious, and the macabre. From unsettling urban legends to terrifying true stories, and the darkest corners of human imagination, this is the place where fear comes alive. Prepare yourself for tales that will send shivers down your spine, stories that will haunt your dreams, and secrets you'll wish you never uncovered. This is not for the faint of heart. Are you ready to face the sinister truths that lurk in the shadows? Hit subscribe, turn off the lights, and step into the world of sinister secrets. Remember, the most frightening stories ... are often true. Story 1. The space between walls. I never wanted to live in the basement apartment. The rent was cheap for downtown Portland, sure, but something about being half buried underground always unsettled me. Still, with housing prices what they were, I didn't have much choice. The first month was uneventful. I'd hear the usual apartment noises. Creaks, pipes, the shuffle of footsteps above. But then I started noticing things. Small things at first. A coffee mug slightly out of place. My shower curtain drawn when I was sure I'd left it open. The kind of things you blame on stress or forgetfulness. The maintenance room was next to my unit, separated by what I thought was a solid concrete wall. I'd see the building manager go in there maybe once a month, checking the boiler or whatever lived in that dark space. But late at night, I'd hear sounds. Not the mechanical whir of equipment, something else. Something that sounded almost like breathing. I started losing sleep. The sounds grew more distinct, scratching, shuffling. A wet sort of sliding noise that made my skin crawl. I'd press my ear against the wall, trying to convince myself it was just the pipes or my imagination. But deep down, I knew better. One night, I noticed a gap in the baseboard I hadn't seen before. It was small, maybe half an inch wide, but when I shone my phone's flashlight into it, I could see that the wall wasn't solid at all. There was a space between the walls, barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through. That's when I remembered the news stories about people living in the walls of buildings. Urban parasites, they called them, but this felt different. The thing in my walls didn't move like a person. Its movements were too fluid, too precise. And sometimes, when the building was completely silent, I could hear it whispering. I started documenting everything. The sounds, the moved objects, the strange, musty smell that would appear and disappear. I even set up my phone to record at night. But when I played back the recordings, all I could hear was static, and underneath it, something that sounded like backward speech. Last night, I found my front door unlocked. I know I locked it. I always triple check. But there it was, slightly ajar, with a thin trail of dark liquid leading from the gap in the baseboard to my bedroom door. I followed it with my flashlight, my heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. The trail ended at my bed, right where I lay my head every night. I'm writing this from a hotel room across town. In a few hours, I'll go back to pack my things. I have to know what's in that maintenance room. The building manager gave me a strange look when I asked about it this morning. He said there is no maintenance room on my floor, but I know what I've seen. I know what I've heard. And I know that something in there has been watching me sleep every night, waiting in the space between walls. Story 2. The last appointment. I never wanted to be the kind of therapist who worked late hours. The decision wasn't about money or client convenience. It was about maintaining boundaries. But Sarah needed that 7 p.m. slot. Her panic attacks were getting worse, and her work schedule left no other options. So I made an exception. That's when the notes started appearing. The first one was small, written on a yellow sticky note stuck to my computer monitor. I found it on a Tuesday morning. You can't help her. I assumed it was from Dr. Matthews down the hall. He'd been pushing to refer Sarah to a psychiatrist for weeks. I crumpled it up and threw it away. The second note showed up 2 days later, this time folded neatly on my chair. Same handwriting, different message. She's beyond saving. The paper felt old, with that yellowish tinge that comes from years of storage. The edges were worn smooth, like it had been handled countless times. I checked the security footage. Our building had cameras in every hallway, installed after a break-in last year. But the recordings showed nothing. No one entered my office between closing time and when I arrived the next morning. The cleaning staff hadn't been in either. They were on vacation that week. The notes kept coming, each one more personal than the last. You're making it worse. Stop before it's too late. She's watching you. They appeared in impossible places. Inside locked drawers, between the pages of my private journal, tucked into the frame of my licenses on the wall. I started taking photos of my office before leaving each night. Everything in its place, everything documented. But it didn't matter. The notes found their way in any way, mocking my attempts at rationality. Last week, I found one that made my blood run cold. Check her file. October 15th, 1998. I didn't need to check. I knew that date. It was the day I started having those terrible nightmares as a child. The ones that drove my parents to seek counseling for me. The ones I never told anyone about. Sarah missed her appointment yesterday. When I called to check on her, a different voice answered, older, raspier. Sarah's been dead for 25 years, the voice said. But she's so glad you've been listening. I'm writing this from my car. There's a note on my passenger seat that wasn't there when I got in. The handwriting is mine. Story 3, The Color of Pain. The antique store smelled like wet copper and rotting wood. I shouldn't have gone in, but the going out of business sign promised deals I couldn't resist. As a starving artist living off commission work and ramen noodles, I needed cheap supplies. That's when I found the paint set. The wooden box was beautiful, hand-carved with symbols I'd never seen before. Inside, 12 small jars contained the most vibrant colors I'd ever encountered. The old woman at the counter practically gave it away, mumbling something about feeding time as I left. Thank you for stepping into the darkness with me. If you enjoyed tonight's sinister secret, don't forget to leave a like, share with a fellow seeker of the macabre, and hit subscribe to join our growing circle of shadow dwellers. Have a story you dare to share? Let me know in the comments. Your tale could be the next to haunt this channel. Until next time, remember ... Some secrets are better left buried. Sleep well, if you can.